lower brackets and stuff going on there. But currently Yoitsflow is winning this 1-0, and we believe it was with a Quest Rogue. Is he known for that deck, do you know?
I don't think it's necessarily that he's known for the deck, but I believe the practice group is Muzzy, Yoitsflow, Nostum, Leadpaint. All of those players work together for the lineup.
So many times as we go into game number 2, we are going to see it. But the deck that would not go away is here again, and Lab Recruiter, the latest iteration of ways to try and keep it alive.
Yeah, Lab Recruiter just gives you that inevitability against the control decks that you never necessarily needed, but now you want. Without Giggling Inventor, you can't put on as much pressure as you used to be able to in the past, so you definitely need the Lab Recruiter in order to just, you know, beat up on some Odd Warrior. And I think Quest Rogue honestly might have been a pretty strong bring overall. It was actually kind of funny. I was talking to Crane a little bit before the tournament actually started, and Crane was like, "Oh, I think my Druid beats the Quest Rogue anyway, so I'm not worried."
Good stuff.
And I don't know if you can tell, but Crane's Druid is currently out of commission.
Yeah, Crane not had the best of years, especially compared to his skill level. I think all the memes, Crane gets picked on by the community for losing, but that's because they know how good he is. But over the last few sort of months, those memes have been used less and less because he's had quite a bad time of it, and it's like, it's got to the point where we don't want to actually upset the guy if he's having an awkward year. But he's still here, and he is one of the players with the most Dreamhack wins of all time. I think he's 5th on the all-time list. So
definitely a very solid player. And right now, you know, he has a fairly weak hand, but with double Corridor Creeper in the hand, that's going to mean he can have some shenanigans going on later on. Both of those cards will be very... They're going to be discounted pretty quickly, especially with that hero power that Crane's got access to.
Yeah, this is where losing Giggling Inventor is so huge for the Rogue. This was actually favoured, I would go as far as say, for Rogue at one point. It was certainly contentious, and Fino ran a show match about it where Paladin lost 6-2 to the old Quest Rogue.
I can definitely believe it. I mean, Giggling Inventor is just such a powerful card at 5 mana.
But with no Giggling, I think the Rogue is significantly worse off now in this match.
I still think with the addition of Phantom Knives, it does make it fairly solid overall. I don't think there's any way Flo does not decide to Phantom Knives this board state. There is some slight consideration for coining out the Elven Minstrel, taking the damage now, but you're kind of playing with fire at this point. I think if you're Flo, you kind of have to hope that there's not those Corridor Creepers coming down next turn.
No, and that's because it's turn 4, right? You'd rather wait one more turn if you could to clear everything going into the level up turn.
That is true.
But
oh, it looks like he's going to do it. This is a play I was mentioning earlier. He's not going into a level up or a Fungalmancer turn. The only punish for this would be a Purifier's Maul. The Divine Shield Maul would be a massive punish to not playing the Phantom Knives.
But to be fair, that Maul beats you anyway.
You're not wrong. That Maul,
you know, it's gonna do you at some point anyway. One of the downsides with this play from Flo, though, is he now hasn't got the Vanish on turn 5 if he should need it. So he's relying on the fan to do its thing.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that he's going to need it. Can do this. He'll play the Wax Elemental just to put a body in the way. That way for future turns. But just bounce that.
Turn Crane is going to be absurd with the 2-0 Corridor Creepers and the Divine Favor in hand.
Yeah, what was turning out to be a pretty weak hand in the first part for Crane has now turned into just a massive swing. Can play both Corridor Creepers, then the Divine Favor, and then figure out whether he wants to Hero Power or just go with, you know, 2/1 drops.
Yeah, you don't have to get the maximum number of cards for Divine Favor. Just some cards is always enough. And this is going to be an open goal of a turn coming up next turn.
The funniest part about this is Void Ripper will make both of these Corridor Creepers push 10.
Yeah, 12 with the Raid Leader, so it's kind of lethal if Flo doesn't set up a defense, which I'm assuming he will play the Wax Elemental.
Even if he plays the Wax Elemental,
yeah.
The Void Ripper just cleans it up. It would need to be...
Of course, yeah.
Both Vicious Scale Hides, taking value trades.
Which you wouldn't want to do because you need some sort of comeback mechanism later.
If you are Flo here, I don't necessarily mind going Wax Elemental, double Vicious Scale Hide, take 2 value trades, push the Glacial Shard face. you could opt to Shadow Step one of the Vicious Scale Hides. After you do so, you set up a Vanish on the following turn. That way you can Vanish, get your quest done, and then hopefully proceed with this. And I really like this play from Flow here. I think it's a very solid spot.
Whew. Well, he spots it, gets there. No buff for Crane.
No, Crane is close to lethal. Crane is currently
2 off.
Yeah, 2 off lethal.
But that 2 is like a mile away as well. He may just choose to...
Let me think.
I definitely think he'll make a play to kind of sculpt around, you know. He could opt for a play where he goes Void Ripper and then pushes some damage face or takes a value trade and kills one of the other ones, and then Void Ripper again in order to put the Quarter Creepers back. But, you know, I really like this play. Just put him down to 2.
Yeah, and Vanish doesn't matter because he's got the
Vine Cleaver for the following turn. But what does matter is Prep Vanish. Because Prep Vanish allows him to play the Glacial Shard now, and he can also play another Vicious Scale Hide. He'll be on 5 Vicious Scale Hides at that point.
Oh, wow.
I believe he's already played 2. If he plays the zero mana one, that'll be 3.
You're right. Full health. Whoa, that'll stop it.
And the craziest part about this is he'll go up to 5 health, so Vine Cleaver won't technically be lethal. And then afterwards, he can just play out the other Vicious Scale Hide and win the game.
Yep, and it is that is just how this game works with Quest Rogue.
This is insane.
Don't
right
die and you might win. It's always been the motto for Quest Rogue. It's fairly straightforward with any deck, but Quest Rogue has the most ridiculous comeback mechanism.
Like I said, this turn is absolute bonkers. It's nutter butters. It's absurd. Spooky. I'm trying to come up with more words.
I'm just letting you. I'm just sitting here staring at you, thinking, well, when's he going to stop?
You should know me by now. I never stop.
It doesn't stop. It's going to be quite a chatty desk, actually. We've got me, you, Admirable. Poor Cora.
Poor Cora.
She's got to put up with those things.
Everything we have to say. But Flo has navigated this extremely well. I've liked all the lines he's taken.
Yeah. I mean, most people would be dead here for sure.
But not Flo.
And Crane is trying to find any strategy that sets it up and helps him just win this game of Hearthstone.
Crane is just thinking, all right, well, I know he's going to have 2 4/4 Scale Hides next turn and a 4/4 Glacial Shard.
Yeah, whatever wins. How do I
What wins me this game?
I know, Firefly. That'll do it.
Unfortunately, Lorinda, I don't think that will do it.
Reporting for duty.
So going white is interesting, though.
I think you have to at this point. You kind of have to accept that going wide is the answer.
This also gets rid of the Scale Hide in the world where Flo doesn't do that.
There is the potential for Fanonize now. Fanonize was a great pickup.
Yeah.
Could
Might be a red herring. We've got to...
It could be, but I definitely think you need to clean up these Silverhand recruits.
I think Crane has set it up so that if Flo only gains the 4 from the Scale Hide, Crane does have 9 with the Vine Cleaver. So he did set up lethal through completed quest there.
I think Flo's going to be holding on to the other Vicious Scale Hide here to try and make sure that he plays it in the same turn to make sure that he gets that 4 life.
Yeah.
We'll have access to that Wax Elemental as well. I'm curious to see what Void Ripper Crane played, because if Crane played the Void Ripper from the far left, which he may have,
he did, yeah.
not consciously thinking of that, Flo is going to be hand tracking to know that there is a second Void Ripper in the team.
Yeah, I think Crane played the wrong one. I think you're right.
I mean, I don't think it changes the play.
No, but the crowd like it anyway.
The crowd are loving it. They love this Wax Elemental. It's their favorite card.
They've been waiting for that for so long. All right, so Crane does get to activate this double corridor creeper, but I don't think that's going to get him anywhere. Who needs Giggling Inventor? Which fool said Giggling Inventor made a difference in this matchup? Was that you? I know it was me. Remember now.
I think it was everybody that's ever played this game. And
Yeah.
I think they would be right. I just think that
Flo doesn't agree.
this deck is like that movie Halloween. It just keeps coming back.
Every year.
You just...
Halloween does come back every year, Jay. That's how
You're not
Halloween
wrong.
works.
I was referring to the movie with... I'm trying to think of the villain's name.
Batman.
Michael Myers. Thank you, production.
Oh,
Production's always looking out for my back.
yeah. And you need to if Michael Myers is about, to be fair. Someone's going to cover
Someone's
back.
got to cover it back when Michael Myers is coming. Like I said, he just keeps coming back. Or
Be
it's
like Crane.
or it's like or it's like a Sharknado.
That's such a good
They
movie.
just keep making those movies over and over. And they just never stop.
Yeah, they can't jump the shark because they did that by default in the title, so we're good. Sharknado's really good fun. Is it bad that I like really terrible movies?
No,
Good.
I just think the movie's really bad. But Flo's gonna have to try and find a way to navigate this.
Hang on, as Flo is trying to sort this out, I want to know what's, wrong with sharks in
I'm
tornadoes.
pretty sure there's one scene in the movie where he just jumps into a shark and then jumps out of it like nothing happened. I'm like, that's not how real life works. I hate to burst everyone's bubble at home, but that's just not how life works.
But movies aren't life, otherwise we just go outside and that'd be a movie. Oh,
You're saying your life isn't based off a movie? What if we're theoretically in a movie right now
wow. That's
and
pretty
you just
deep.
wouldn't know it? How would you know?
Yeah, maybe someone's like broadcasting his life to the
What
world.
if
We're
someone
here
is
talking
just-
rubbish.
What if someone is just at their local movie theater on some separate planet just watching us? You'd never know.
That's actually terrifying. So
You're
back to the game of Hearthstone you tried to drag us back to, and I made the mistake of not letting you.
I think the Vanish had to get played that turn.
Yeah.
There was no exception to that. The question is, how does Flo navigate it now? Although we've been talking about how, Flo is in a fairly decent spot. Crane has been making sure to go wide every turn.
Yes.
That way Flo cannot actually, commit to some kind of board state.
Yeah, the low health total has managed to let Crane find this tactic to keep things going. But each turn it gets harder and harder for him to keep that going. And Flo's done a good job of making sure Crane, his weapon's been frozen up. Obviously he's drawn so many cards, Flo knows it's there by now. And it's just been this tussle to try and stop Flo completing the quest.
The craziest part about this is even if Crane were to go wide, Flo could technically just get away with the scale high turn because there's no level up.
Yeah.
There's nothing to kind of threaten these minions. So once Flo is forced to go in with that play of, just making the 4/4s, trading them in, trying to gain as much life as possible, I think he's still going to be in a pretty good spot.
But he can't assume that. He's going to assume there's a level up in that million cards Crane has in hand.
You cannot
Reporting for duty.
sleep on the level up. We saw what
Reporting
Purple
for
did with the
duty.
level up earlier on.
Yeah.
I must move quickly.
And Crane also playing to that out, amongst other things.
All right, I think it's go time. You don't really have anything else.
Go, it's Flo.
Go, it's Flo into the board. Board does not run with Flo, but I went for it anyways.
Yeah. You let me down there, Jay.
I'm sorry.
And obviously, with this being last hero, this is a massive deal. If you win against the deck that's supposed to counter you, you tend to run out of 3-0.
That's the best
Winner.
part about last year's standing is when you win those unfavorable matchups, it just feels so good in the long run. And right now, it's looking pretty good for Flo here. Crane's going to need to assemble some kind of offense. But that vicious scale hide is going to keep putting in work if he doesn't clean it up.
I mean, double Vine Cleaver and the end of the Scale Hides. That sounds like another movie. Does mean that Flo is now out of ways to at least get that health out of range, but the damage I think has been done, but Crane can just keep going wide and wide. It's not over yet. I've said that so many times against Quest Rogue. It's always over when you say that.
So the funny part about this is that
Reporting for duty.
in the past, this matchup would get decided by eventually drawing into Giggling Inventor.
Right.
But right now, that is not an option. Acidic Swamp Ooze, funny enough, is actually decent here. because it will be able to clean up that Vine Cleaver. That is such a problematic card.
Getting rid of all those minions that Vine Cleaver entails. And there's Sonya as well, so loads of options for Flow available to just end the game pretty soon now. Like I said, obviously the padding couldn't come back. I said that right?
I don't know.
Don't tell them.
Let's just watch. The funniest part about this is both players are going to be going back and forth, cleaning each other's board up as much as they can while presenting pressure, because if Crane leaves these 4/4s on the board, he's just going to die. And then Flo leaves these 1/1s on the board, he's just going to die.
I mean, we were talking about how Flo managed to extend this game where most people would have lost, but Crane has also done a good job of extending it when it swung back the other way, of really asking Flo questions. But this is the sort of year Crane's had, is playing well, lose. Seems to be just how it's gone for him, and that's how it does go sometimes.
I think it's from when Crane shaved his beard. Crane did really well when he had his beard. And then he shaved it and
He
lost all of
did,
his
yeah. He was growing that beard for some reason or other. There was a reason behind it, I've forgotten now. Until
I can't remember.
the thing happened, and then he shaved it.
He's lost all his power.
Yeah. I didn't like the beard, though.
Oh, I hated it.
But
I told him as soon as I saw him in Thailand, I was like, you need to shave that. He didn't listen to me.
and then he did listen to you,
And then he did
cost
listen to
him
me.
all of his results.
That cost him everything. That cost him everything.
You bad man.
Crane curses me at night.
He's from Denmark. I thought Denmark was kind of a cold place. Why is he wearing
Definitely is.
like explorer gear indoors here? It's not that cold.
So he can go explore the convention.
Of course.
Do you not wear explorer gear to your conventions?
No, of course. I just slipped my mind.
Don't let it slip again, all right?
I'll try not to. 9 rounds of Swiss, top 16 as well. Big cut. So I'll have plenty of time to remember my explorer gear as this event progresses.
Looks like Flo's going to go for the draw 2 minions line. It looks like he's going to be wanting that other glacial shard, but he's still got one of those in the deck. Lab Recruiter isn't quite that. Stone Tusk Boar
Super close.
could go for a Novice Engineer to try and draw that 1-drop. It looks like he's prioritizing using the dagger, and I like this a lot. He's really making sure that level up does not come down here.
It's coming on 13 here. Is a buffer a win? With the Fungal Mancer, and then you attack in for 6 with the 2 1-attack minions. Then you play the Void Ripper afterwards to do 5 with the Doofus. Oh, you get even more this way anyway. In my way work, this is even better. And that is just it. Not being able to get recursive Giggling Inventors, like you just pointed out, was actually a big deal.
Yeah, the Giggling Inventor is a huge deal in this matchup, where typically at this stage of the game, if they get the quest done, they just play a Giggling Inventor and you lose the game. But now, you can take it to the long run if you just kind of clean up the minions back and forth.
Yeah, nicely navigated by Crane. We're talking about him maybe taking an L there, but
It was looking like an L.
that mid-game where he managed to keep Flo from getting the quest complete so early allowed him that extra time to pick off a minion here there. Flo used a lot of resources not dying, and Crane just had the push of Vine Cleaver after Vine Cleaver, extra dudes, pressed the hero power button, kept going wide, and eventually picked up the buff needed, and sort of looking like Flo had turned the corner there. Wow.
They're right, game number 3.
Game number 3, and it's 1-all.
It's going to be interesting to see if Flo decides to go with the Warrior or the Shaman. It looks like he's going to go for the Warrior. This is a very hot topic in the community, I would say. There's some players feel like the Paladin is actually slightly favored, and other players just feel like the Warrior is slightly favored.
I think the people who think the Warrior is favored are the people who think it plays a million whirlwind effects and don't actually look at the list. That's my assessment.
Or they just play whirlwind, or they just play Warrior against everything, and they think it's favored against everything.
Yeah, which is, you know, some people.
There's a lot of people out there like that. I do like the Warrior, though. I do like the aspect of Control Warrior bringing back in the meta. You saw Flo keep one of the Stonehill Defenders. Stone Defender is a very strong card in this matchup, as it just eats up Silverhand Recruit after Silverhand Recruit.
It's weird casting with you, Jay.
Why?
I've never heard a caster say they like Warrior before.
I liked Pirate Warrior.
Oh, that's different. I mean, Control Warrior.
I mean, you said Warrior.
I did.
You didn't
And that's because I'm inaccurate with my
specify.
words and trying to make you look good.
The light dims.
All I needed was my War Axe and my small-time Buccaneer, and I was a happy, happy man. Who goes there?
This is not a caster deck. So what is it, and joking aside, what is it you think is good about having Control Warrior about? It obviously brings a different aspect to the meta.
I just think it kind of punishes things for being super aggressive. I think the Warrior deck is soothing to play on ladder, as crazy as that sounds. And I think it's very rewarding to players who understand the deck's ins and outs. Especially in the bad matchups like Death Rattle Hunter, if you can understand, you know, how to pressure, how to make sure you can set up board states that are impossible for the Hunter to come back from. They're very weird scenarios that if the Hunter player makes mistakes, you can kind of capitalize on it. And here you see Crane, you know, going back to the game and not just Warrior here. Crane's just going to pull the trigger on this Blessing of Might as quickly as possible.
Yeah. And this works out well for him next turn as well into Stonehold Defender. Tink Master was something that Zorktha, I think, pioneered when he took it to Oslo, and the Hoys both played it independently. It just does so much against so many decks.
I played that against, I played that at Orange County in my Odd Warrior, and it was the reason I single-handedly just kept beating on Taunt Druid in the matchup. Taunt Druid, you know, it makes it a free win. On top of that, it does very similar things to other cards. For instance, a prime example would be Big Game Hunter. Big Game Hunter gets rid of a Hooked Reaver or a Mountain Giant.
Yeah.
With the Tink Master, you effectively do a very similar thing. You get rid of the threat presented while also developing a body, and sometimes it's a 1-1.
Yeah.
So it's basically what a BGH would do.
And I think that's how people discovered this piece of tech. They put it in there for the Taunt Druid to see what would happen, and oh, it's okay. It's not amazing because they still have a 50-50
Yes.
With their Hadronox. But then they realised, hang on, it does the thing you just said, it kills giants, and there's so many other bits and pieces in the meta that it just destroys
It's like, wait
so
a
many
minute.
things.
This card's cool. I want to play cool cards.
Like cubes. Goodbye, Cube. You're a squill.
A lot of players have been putting, I think a couple players have been putting Cube in their Warrior as well.
And it turns
Crazy
eggs
to
into
me.
squirrels.
Turns what?
Eggs into squirrels. Or devil saws, but you know.
Okay,
It's insane.
not wrong.
It's a bit unfortunate when you turn the egg into a devil saw and it's like, you could have just killed the egg. But you know.
Could have scrambled the egg in the first place.
And you get that squirrel noise, which is definitely the best noise in all of Hearthstone when it attacks.
I just like when I hear it because I know it made a 1-1 and not a 5.
Crane is pushing a lot of damage, and this is the downside of not having those multiple whirlwind effects in the deck. And there you go, there's the cube you're talking about.
This is exactly what I was talking about earlier. When you just kind of don't have removal for the early game, a lot of times Paladin can just steamroll over. And sometimes even if you have that removal for the early game and you don't have necessarily like the Dynamatic here, what'll happen is eventually the Odd Paladin will just keep generating board state after board state, which will contest Yoitsflow hero power.
Yeah, and the Paladin doesn't need to play around any of that stuff because the hero power just lets it keep coming. So you can do this board, and if you don't get Dynamatics, you win, kind of. And if you do, well, just do it all again.
It reminds me of a time where, you remember N'Zoth Paladin?
I do.
Remember how N'Zoth Paladin was playing Justicar True Heart?
I do, yeah.
For the mirror matches and Warrior?
Yeah.
It's very reminiscent of that.
I tried to sort of suppress those memories, to be honest. But
Why?
like
Those are good
hour-long
memories.
games.
Those are good memories.
You weren't casting back then. You'll
Fair
change,
point.
young man, over time.
Thanks, Dad.
I wonder.
Talking of expressive players in the last round with Purple and Shoebox, Crane is like the opposite of that. Sometimes at the end of a
Crane
game, you'll
is
see
very straight-faced.
some sort of raised eyebrow or something. When he's playing in tournaments, when he's streaming, he's the opposite. He's one of the loudest, liveliest sort of streamers there is. You know how he's doing, put it that way.
Oh, is this
There's just
essentially
nothing
just
there.
game over? This quick? I'm trying to find some kind of convoluted out. You could play Stonehill Defender, Hero Power, Shield Slam. And then after that, I don't think you're quite dead just yet. Let me run the numbers in my head, Neil.
I'm watching this with excitement, but Crane does have a lot of buffs available, partly off the top of his deck.
I believe he would be one off lethal, if my brain power was correct.
Did you count the veteran?
If he shield slams the veteran.
The one in hand?
I did count the veteran.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with your brain power. Sure, I'll regret it.
Oh,
That's lethal.
I got to calculate the new math here.
Recalculating route.
I'm recalculating with this new math.
Face is the way.
And like I said, I think Odd Paladin is favored in this matchup, and Crane is showing us right here. Odd Paladin taking 2 games over Yoitsflow. Yoitsflow is going to need to get that Shaman win here, and that's not looking good for him right now.
Yeah, it's all hinged on that Rogue game by the look of things, where Crane did just claw away to victory in that one.
And the other one just looked like a complete stomping. I mean, it just kind of showed how consistent Odd Paladin is at what it does. Granted, Yoitsflow could have just had one kind of removal spell. For instance, say a Whirlwind or Flurry or Brawl. Any of those spells would have kind of saved him there. But a lot of times Warrior just doesn't have it. Now he's going to be forced to queue the Shutterwalk Shaman to Odd Paladin, which I think is notoriously not that strong.
Yeah, you use the word save there. It doesn't mean he's lost. If it happens, it just keeps the game going. You've got to get through 2 or 3 of those saves to actually get the win. Well, there's some stuff.
None of these are things that Flo really wants to see in the opening hand. But then again, on Crane's side, he doesn't really have anything he wants to see in the opening hand as well, besides that Corridor Creeper.
Flo sporting a new hero that you can get through pre-ordering packs.
Ooh, I do love King Rastakhan. I remember queuing into King Rastakhan on ladder, and I didn't know it was out. And I had to recheck my client and thought I'd broke something because I thought it wasn't supposed to be in the game. I was like, did I just queue into a PvE boss?
I just queued into the future.
Did I just break Hearthstone? And then I went and realized it was the pre-order, and I got a little bit sad that I didn't break Hearthstone.
Did you win?
I think so.
Okay.
I have no clue.
How can you not remember every game you've ever played, Jay?
Good point. There was this game, September 21st.
2017?
2015.
Well, only in Atlanta.
I don't even remember that date.
I can dig it up, I probably shouldn't. So Crane obviously thinking about the interaction with Level Up and Corridor Creeper and how he wants to get to that turn with the most stuff. And whenever you have those thoughts, you just do all this thinking and then you just press the button. Happens so often.
I think just pressing that hero power button as many times as possible is one of the best ways to go about a lot of matchups. I mean, a lot of decks, they just have to utilize their resources so poorly in order to answer it. So I don't blame Crane, especially, you know, his hand is a bit awkward, and he does have level up in the hand. That is a huge factor in why he would want to hero power return. And Corridor Creeper. So I don't blame him.
Yeah, and if he gets Lightning Storm here, he just doesn't mind Flo having to overload this early in the game, get rid of one of his key cards so soon as well. That's a big deal, though, the Volcano being reduced. That does allow Flo a lot more options in terms of clearing 2 boards.
I do think that is one of the better spells to have reduced. A lot of times you want it to be the AoE, that way you can do a power turn where you play the AoE spell, and on top of it you develop a minion, for instance like the Serenite Chain Gang. And if you can combo those 2 together, it works out very, very well. Looks like Crane just wants to put on the pressure here.
Yeah.
Could have just hero powered for the level up next turn, but he wanted to fit as much damage in as possible, and I don't blame him. That was probably the most damage that Maul was ever getting.
So although Flo has the cards to deal with all this, does he have the time, does he have the mana? That's why that pressure is so important that Crane just put on.
So Flo is going to need to clear this board state, so the Storm or the Volcano will have to be committed here.
Yep.
Afterwards, he's only going to be put on 3 mana. He'll need to heal or Storm again.
Yeah.
And Crane's just going to be digging away, especially with that Leroy in hand. This game could be over very quickly, but I think Flo has a bit of game in him, especially with this current hand state.
He does, but again, that Divine Favor, if Crane does need a breather.
Oh, that Divine Favor is drawing at least 1 billion cards.
At least 1 billion. That's so many cards. And a bit of fatigue.
More than 1 million.
Yeah.
1 million's a lot.
So much fatigue. It's like 50 billion fatigue or something.
We don't worry about the fatigue, we just kind of draw the cards.
So this is the key turn for Crane. Obviously, he's got to put the pressure on one more time, as he doesn't know there's two mana volcanoes lurking. But then he's going to have to look into this Divine Favor. And one turn, he's going to have to take a bit of a rest. Flow definitely has the goods to keep going for a long time, though.
He is getting low on life. I mean, one Blessing of Might from Crane's side, and the game's over if he does not choose to heal this turn. But if he chooses to heal this turn, he's not exactly addressing the board state.
Yeah, and that can go wrong in a hurry with level up.
Yes! Especially because Lost in the Jungle level up could be a potential play. But I think if you're Flow here, you have to go for the Healing Rain and hope. There's only so much you can do. Does have the AoE to follow it back in the future turns. Can go Volcano, Serenite Chain Gang.
This might be a shot for... Well, again, Crane doesn't know about the 2-mana Volcano, so we have to kind of disregard that. Level up puts Flow down to only Volcano as now, so it must be tempting, even though it's not a very good level up. Otherwise, you can Raid Leader and Divine Favor. Just say, okay.
I really like the Raid Leader Divine Favor. There's a strong consideration for that. You push it quite a bit of damage. You can also just fit in the hero power as well. Just really force out a Storm or a Volcano.
Okay. And this means that level up next turn just wins the game. So you've seen one Lightning Storm, like you say, put him to the test over and over.
Then having the Vine Cleaver to follow up, this is just looking really good for Crane right now.
Yeah, it's going to get the... It looks like the level up will get done at some point. But again, Flow doesn't look like dying quickly. He might die... He's died like 3 times already in this game.
It's going to be a slow, painful one.
Yeah. He's always going to have ways to survive for the next few turns, but this level up starting to look pretty dangerous.
Does have the Gluttonous Ooze to contest this Vine Cleaver there, and I think this is going to be the big, important swing turn that if Flow is going to get back in this game. It's definitely this turn here.
Yeah, I'm looking for a way where this Ooze just uses up too much mana, but I think it's okay.
No,
we
I think
can clear the board,
fine.
we can count the Glacial Shard as a clear when it hits something.
I don't think you necessarily need the Glacial Shard. Could save it to see it. Say another Vine Cleaver is played. Rolling the Healing Totem is also pretty crucial.
Yeah, so 3/3/3's the maximum that Crane can produce here.
How greedy is Crane going to get with these level ups? It looks like Flow is actually turning the corner. The one thing Flow doesn't have going for him is he doesn't really have much in the form of draw in his hand. He doesn't really have the resources to keep going. He's got life gain, he's got removal, he's got the Shutter Walk, but eventually 1/1s, they're going to stack up.
Yeah, I don't feel like Crane is getting anywhere quickly here either, though. I think that's a conclusion he's just reached. It's like, that Divine Favor has suddenly become sort of mediocre.
I think Crane is really trying to convince himself there's another play besides level up this turn.
Yeah.
I think Crane is really trying to convince himself that there was another play besides level up.
I think you're right. I think that's exactly what was going through his mind there.
He's like, there's got to be something else. I can't just use level up like this.
Yeah, when people often ask, like, what's taking him so long? Yes, he's seen the play. He saw it in 0.1 seconds. What's taking so long is that hope, that hunt for something better.
He's convincing himself.
Because the turn is not a good turn. So can you find anything? You start going through Stonehill possibilities. You start going through Divine Favor possibilities. What could be better? It's not that they haven't seen this incredibly simple play. You've got 75 seconds. You can use them.
Exactly, and Flow got a very crucial draw there, and the Hagatha will allow him to play Shutterwalk as another potential board clear. Meant that his turn was very solid, very clean, very mana efficient, and then if he needs to, he can just get resources later on.
Yeah, Crane looking for things that do stuff. Because
find some things.
Yeah, he hasn't had things or stuff for a couple of turns now. Again, not scared to just dump things on the board. Sleepy Dragon or Righteous Protector. One of those is weak to Hex, and one of them is Righteous Protector.
That was a good one, Lorinda. I thoroughly enjoyed that one.
So Crane is just going to slowly but surely use these to load up the board.
I don't know why I found that so funny, but I did.
It's the first funny thing I've ever said, so you've got to, like,
I
play
don't
on
think
it so
that's
that
what it was.
the people know that I'm being funny.
Here's a funny question.
Okay.
Can Yoitsflow get away with playing out the Shutterwalk this turn? To be honest, I think he can. I think he could go coin Shutterwalk if he wanted to and get away with it. I think this is much cleaner. There's no real reason to risk it. You can just go ahead and freeze 2 minions.
Yeah, you can use that Shutterwalk as extra weapon removal as well. Might be a reason to hold it back for one extra turn
as well.
It's actually often forgotten just how good it is. It does those battle cries twice. You don't have to win with the combos. And there's not a whole lot in there either yet. But yeah, I mean, at some point you just drop the Shutterwalk, as you know, and kill them with big, scary birds.
Big, scary chickens. And I think Flo went for this play because there's no strong way that Crane can actually answer the Grumble. I actually wouldn't have been opposed to see Flo play the Ancestrals. What is that card called? I'm drawing a blank on it. The 0 mana. Is it Ancestrals?
There's a healing and there's a spirit. I'll never know which one's which.
Okay, I think it's Ancestral's healing. I wouldn't have been opposed to seeing him put on the Glacial Shard. That way, if there were some convoluted Blessing-a-Mite or Leroy play, it wouldn't have been that strong to get through.
Yep.
I think if there was like Leroy Blessing-a-Mite, it would have killed it either way. But let's say it was something like Fungalmancer, Blessing-a-Mite, Raid Leader.
And again, Crane doing what you mentioned he was doing in one of the other games as well. Just, you're not going to get a better Leroy shot than this, so to do it now.
Definitely needed to.
Move quickly.
All right, this is the point where Flo is going to play a Shutterwalk. Doesn't necessarily need this Shutterwalk to go off. Wait, has Serenite Chain Gang been played yet? I believe one got played earlier.
One, I believe. He has got the option now because this life drinker pickup to be a bit greedier with the walk. Do you think it's just going to come out?
I think it's just going to come out. I don't see a reason not to. I mean, you either get 2 6/3s or you get one back and you instantly lose the spot. You're also going to be freezing quite a bit. The 2 6/3s are just powerful enough. Especially with Healing Rain in the hand, you can put them back to 6/6s.
Yeah, there's not a lot going on here for Crane.
And a lot of times in this matchup, you don't necessarily win with the Shutterwalk combo. You just win by exhausting the Odd Paladin of resources.
Yep. It's looking like how that one's going to work.
Let me think.
I don't think the Odd Paladin can take the Shutterwalk Shaman to fatigue. I don't think it's a possibility, especially with Hagatha this early. I mean, there might be very small, convoluted situations where it can happen.
Shaman cards, the random ones, are actually really good against Paladin. They're really good at dealing with like little bits and pieces. That's why originally the people weren't that sure how good Hagatha would be, because a lot of the cards are
A lot of the cards are very mediocre.
But actually most of the mediocrity is pretty good against 1/1s and such like. Fork Lightning and all that sort of nonsense is actually just okay.
Or Beakered Lightning, the
Oh yeah, Beakered Lightning, even, yeah.
another strong one.
And another card you never want unless you're playing against Paladin.
I think if you're Flo here, you definitely want to be pushing some damage face.
Yeah, you kind of don't have forever.
You can go for a super overload this turn.
Super overload.
What you do is you play you play Storm to try and clean up the board, and then you play Electro Storm Surge and you play Feral Wolves.
Feral Spirits behind the sport.
Feral
It's
Spirits.
It's like super chain gang.
Yes, it's super duper chain gang. Super mega duper chain gang.
Sega, oh, I lost
Sega
it.
mega
I tried to copy and it all went wrong.
chain gang of superness.
This is why I have to invent my own stuff, because I can't copy anything. And it's looking like it's going to go to game number 5.
I believe Crane has I don't want to, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure Crane would have brought even Warlock.
I suspect Crane isn't a zoo gamer. Would
no,
be my,
I don't think Crane doesn't look
feel.
like. If he had a beard, I'd call him a zoo gamer.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have a beard, so I'm not going to call him a zoo gamer.
He looks a warm gamer. He does look warm.
He's ready for an expedition. You're not wrong. And the expedition is to game number 5.
Let's just see what game number 5 can find for him. He's not quite there yet, but let's face it, he is.
Yep. They're going to game number 5 with that life drinker, that lava burst, and those 3-6 shutter walks.
Yoitsflow and Crane going to game 5. It's going to be Shaman versus Mystery Warlock.
Mystery Warlock. Does that run Meat Wagon?
Probably.
Mystery meat of the day?
Is that a thing?
I don't know.
Because that sounds
Pretty sure I've heard it
like
before.
pretty gross. I wouldn't order mystery meat.
I wouldn't either. I like meatloaf.
Yeah?
You think Crane likes meatloaf?
Probably. He likes most music.
I wasn't referring to the music. I wasn't referring to the...
Do you see how many times we can switch this conversation around while we're waiting to find out what deck he's actually playing?
I'm pretty sure it's an even lock, and the even lock is a very close matchup for Shutterwalk Shaman.
That looks like an even lock.
Even Warlock.
Either that or Jen just became a really good 6-5 for 6.
Again, Greymane.
We have turned our curse into our strength.
That's a giant.
That is definitely a giant. Those are 2 Earth Shocks. Unfortunately for Yoitsflow, Giant cannot be silenced like a Twilight Drake can. And Crane's on the coin right now. Having the coin and having Giant is extremely important.
And Twilight Drake, just in case. You said they should have like able to Earth Shock the mana cost back to 12.
I wish.
Hand silence effect.
You actually saw there, Flo decided not to go with the hero power. That's just kind of a nod to Volcano Math later on.
Yeah.
He's going to want to make sure that his board is clear. That way, he doesn't necessarily miss on Volcano Math. Played the Mana Tide because he desperately needed a Hex here. And right now, you know, he doesn't have a Hex, but Glacial Shard Zola is, you know, the next best thing.
You have to keep that going for some time.
I see.
No reason to Zola that turn.
Is there any temptation at all to Spellbreak your Giant and just smack him?
A lot of temptation. I think Spellbreaker's best target in this matchup is the Giant that is frozen. And to be honest, Crane is going to know that Flo has 2 Earth Shocks in the list. So the odds that Flo has Earth Shock right now is pretty darn high. So to be honest, if you're Crane here, I like to giddy up and hit him.
He's got some very good options for development though. He's got the Hellfire to stop the card draw. He's got the Twilight Drake to just pile on more pressure. You've got the hint there might not be a Hex available. No, he's going to pile on and hit him.
Bam! Make the big noise, Mountain Giant.
Bam!
A wise man named Envoy taught me that. His favorite card was Mountain Giant because it makes the big noise.
Makes the big noise. Definitely did make a big noise. And so did you. I could actually hear you ahead of the commentators over to our left.
I do think you want to hold the Hellfire to try and get through something like a Chain Gang.
Yeah.
I also think the Spellbreaker was not going to get any better usage later on. And the Twilight Drake is very susceptible to Earthshock. So I think Crane took that turn. You know, he wanted to think of all of his options, but I definitely think he went for the strongest play that turn. Especially because the Spellbreaker right now currently cannot be answered on board.
Also, he picked up the healer as well, which means he can do the old bump and heal if he needs to.
The old bump and heal.
Or there's going to be bump, face, and heal most of the time here.
Here, Flo here. I'm liking the look of the Zola onto the Glacial Shard. Refreeze the Giant. Try and keep it frozen this time. And then you can even potentially Earthshock to clear up the Spellbreaker.
You had one job, Glacial Man.
Yeah, Glacial Shard, you had one job and you failed. I mean, at least he got the Spellbreaker, right? Am I right?
Yeah, I guess.
Part of the work. Still no Hex.
Nice looking Defile. 1, 2, 3. That's how numbers work.
Oh, no. Let's do it again. Crane, you committed to the first one. It has to be the same.
I just wonder if he's thinking about Yeah, this
Oh,
first,
there
and
we
then
go,
coining out
Crane.
the... Yeah.
I love it. Make the big noise, Giant.
Your magic
Punchy
shall
giant.
not save.
Makes the big noise.
Makes the big noise.
And with healing in hand, you're late, Keleseth.
And Hellfire just shreds through the chain gang next turn.
And the face. Hellfire does shoot
Not
the
wrong.
face.
And the craziest thing here is Flo might have to be committed to playing the chain gang and earth shocking
The giant.
the Giant
To put it on
just
3.
to play around Hellfire, which feels so bad. Because then you don't have the Earthshock for Twilight Drake, and Twilight Drake kind of seals the deal at that point. It's very unfortunate for Flo that Crane had both Spellbreakers and Flo had no hexes.
Yeah.
Speak to
He had
me.
2 freezes.
And
One of them was a zone. He has got 3 in the deck. Yeah. This is hard for Flo here because there's so many things going through his head, including that big noise is hurting me.
That big noise hurts for sure. They don't call it the big noise for nothing.
Keleseth is just late to the party as well.
Galseth is very late to the party.
Flo obviously hasn't got size 11 feet. Probably like 8s or 7s or
He's
something.
gonna do it. I like this. I think you have to go for this line of play if you're doing it. You have to commit as much as possible. Now the 8 damage can be pushed face. Can go for the Vulgar Homunculus, Spellstone on one of the 2/3s, push the 4/3 face. Or I'm sorry, put the 4/3 into the other chain gang, and then push the 8/3 face. I think that's
Well, he started on this
Most
line,
obvious
so he
play.
might as well finish it. And he makes a big noise for the 3rd turn in a row. Bang. And now with Hellfire in hand as well, obviously wipes out half his own board. There's so much damage available everywhere. Flo should be able to do things with his Lightning Storm.
this Lightning Storm needs to roll a 3 on that Giant. And it
Rolls
rolls
a
a 2!
That's pretty bad news for Flo.
Oh no. And Flo, because of that, I think he got so tilted he forgot to Healing Rain first. That's going to cost him 2 life, which is the difference between another Giant hit.
Another giant hit. And picks up the 2nd Hellfire as well. And of course, this giant now being healed because it didn't die is such a big swing. It's protected. He knows that Flo hasn't got that hex, and the giant is gonna do 40 damage.
This Farsight needs to be the best Farsight of Flo's life.
And he knows it. It's a good one, but it's not
But
the
it's
best
not
one of his
good
life.
enough. It needed to be a volcano. It needed to be another Farsight into another volcano. Even Taunt Totem here, is that enough? It's not quite enough with double Hellfire.
Double Hellfire and kill you with Healy Man.
Well, actually, if Flo had traded his Mind Control tech into the... If Flo had traded the Mind Control, double Hellfire wouldn't have been a potential out, but Flo's just going to go ahead and give it up. Crane is going to take it in game number 5.